databases, schemas, and usage of worksheets to write the SQL commands. There I am on my landing page where I provided my trial credentials. I'll click on sign in and it will navigate me to this page. Now, first thing first, we'll start with the data part. The topmost layer on the hierarchy of for Snowflake is the creation of the database. So database are the first level hierarchy, and second level would be the schemas. So I'll go and click my first database. Here you see on the right hand side top this plus symbol. As I click on this, it will ask me to give the name of the database. But before that, let me switch my role to some other role. I want to create it with some other role. I'll switch to the sysadmin and I'll click on this plus symbol. Here you can see I'm creating this database as sysadmin. So we are taking an example of an interesting case studies that is actually picked from the Snowflake University itself, where a girl is trying to solve the problem of her uncle who is into the plantation. So we'll use that example and we'll throughout the use case and the learning, we'll use those tables as well. So I'll give a name to it as a garden plant. Now this is my database. As we discussed, as soon as we create any new database, there would be two default schemas that are created. One is the information schema and other one is the public schema. Now here, we don't need this public schema. We can get rid of this public schemas. So as I click on this, on the right hand side here, you see these are the database details and I'll go to directly to the schemas. Now first thing first, I'll remove this public schema as I don't need this. So I'll drop this. So drop is similar to delete only. Now I'll create some logical schemas under the garden plant. So I'll create my first schema. Again, on top right, you will get an option to create the new schema. I'll give this as name VEGGIES. That's my first schema. I'll create two more schemas that are used in the example or the case study. Second, I'll create fruits. And the third one, I'll create flowers. Now these are the schemas under the database. So after this, we'll switch to the worksheets where we can see all these schemas and where we can we'll get the option to create the objects or the tables under it and write the sequels on top of it. So here you see, I'll go on worksheets. So this is the place where you can start creating your new worksheets. Here you see, this is the again plus symbol. As I click on this, it will navigate me to the worksheets page. Now, as soon as I create any new worksheet, by default, it will take the date and the timestamp of creation. I can rename it with a worksheet name of my choice. I'll just rename it as say garden data analysis. Now here on the worksheet, topmost priority important things are what we need to understand is first thing is the role. So you need to see which role you are opted. The role that you are selected here, the access of all the databases and objects that are aligned to those roles will only be visible here. So we need to be mindful of whenever you are logging into the worksheet. If some database is not visible to you, that means you have not selected the right role. And the second thing is compute WH. This is nothing but the execution engine or the warehouse in terms of Snowflake, in terminology of Snowflake we call it. And the third thing on top is this is the run symbol. This is used to execute the SQL command. And at the bottom, this is the place where we can select the database on which we want to perform the SQL queries. So here I'll select this garden plant as my database and we'll get the list of all the schemas under that. So this is something we just created. I'll just randomly select flowers for now. Now, these are the terminology used are the object pickers. So as I switch to the database, this is the level where I can see all my database and schemas. If there are tables, I can search for those as well by simply writing the names. If I click on this, in the drop down, I can see schemas as well. So this is one way of looking at it. And there's another way where I can write the SQL statements to list all those. So that would be again a different way to look at the object pickers. So before that, let me write our first select statement. I think this plays an important role in any programmer's life. The first statement they write is hello world. Same I'll use hello world, and I'll give it some alias as say welcome, and I'll execute it. So this is my execution button. As I click on this, this will execute the SQL statement. At the bottom, you can see the output. We'll talk on the other tabs as well. Now, I'd like my second select statement. Say again, hello world. I'll give it a different alias, second alias, and I'll run this. So now you see the point to notice here is whenever we execute any command on Snowflake worksheet, it will be highlighted with a blue cursor mark. So suppose we are writing so many sequels on the worksheets, just to identify which was the last command that got executed or for which the result is shown. To identify that, we can see the blue mark symbol. So I'll write a few more. Maybe let's again take the example of listing the object pickers through the command line or the sequels. So I can write show databases. So this is the sequel to list all the databases that are there in the account. So I'll execute this. Here you can see these all are the databases that we can see here. This is basically required when we want to export this or use it in CSV format. Other, say suppose I want to list my schemas as well. It will list the schemas under the database that is selected. So in garden plants, these are the schemas. There's one more way of listing all these schemas under the account. So I'll write show schemas in account. As I execute this, this will list all the schemas irrespective to the database. Now, as I said, if you want to really understand which was the last command executed in the complete worksheets, currently it is only 9 statements, that's why it's easy. But say suppose it is fully occupied or the fully many SQL statements are written and we need to identify what is the result set that is shown at the bottom. Say I'll run this statement and then we can identify the difference. If I go down, here you can see this blue symbol is something that is showing me that this was the last command executed. So this was about databases, schemas, and writing the queries on the worksheets. In the next session, we'll discuss on creation of tables and loading the tables with the data. Thank you.